Hey everybody, it's Cory from CoryBakerFilmmaker.com. Thank you so much for watching. I just saw Ford vs. Ferrari, written by Butterworth, John Henry Butterworth, and Jason Keller, and directed by James Mangold. Ford vs. Ferrari basically tells the story of when Henry Ford II and Enzo Ferrari got into a corporate dick measuring contest about who was going to win the 24 hours in Le Mans, and how Ford turned to Carroll Shelby and driver Ken Miles to help win the race that hadn't been won since Carroll Shelby had done it a couple years earlier, and to elevate Ford on the world stage by beating Ferrari in a famous race. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, but I also found that it felt very much of a time that I feel like we're kind of escaping from at this moment. This is the last big Oscar contender from Fox, which is a legacy studio, and this feels sort of like a legacy movie. It feels like they're like, we're going to get two of the best in the game. We're going to give them a high budget, good directed, incredibly well crewed movie, and we're going to let them shine us all the way to a Best Picture Oscar. The problem is that, these things don't always work. Just because you put Brad Pitt in Ad Astra doesn't mean Ad Astra is now going to win an Academy Award. The hope is that you cast somebody like that, they give a star, or not a star turning performance because they're already stars, but I mean like that, like once every 5 to 10 years worthy performance from Christian Bale or Matt Damon, and then this thing is just a runaway winner. The performances in this movie were all really good. I thought that everyone was doing exactly what you would expect of them, but the problem was that they never really elevated to the level of once in a lifetime performance, which is sort of what Ford vs. Ferrari needed to like sort of get over the hump as far as like a Best Picture nominee or as a Best Picture winner. As far as an actual movie goes, just like the time spent and the act of it, it was incredibly good. I enjoyed it a lot. It's good fun. I think it's sort of a four boxer because like it sort of just can bring everybody in. There's not anyone who doesn't feel welcomed at Ford vs. Ferrari. It's just a good old classic summer blockbuster that was released later in the year for award considerations. Going down the cast beyond Damon and Bale, Jon Bernthal plays Lee Iacocca. Caitrona Balfe plays Molly Miles, Ken Miles' wife. Josh Lucas as Leo Beebe. Tracy Letts as Henry Ford II. Ray McKinnon as Phil Remington. These are all really, for the most part, well done performances. Tracy Letts has been doing magic recently and disappearing into roles and me not noticing him. This is another one where I didn't even think it was Tracy Letts for a while. I was just lost in it, and kudos to him for that. Balfe, who plays Molly, is very entrancing. She has a real aura about her, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I would like to see more. I haven't seen her in anything before, so it was very nice to see her in this role. Jon Bernthal, I like as a performer. I just feel like this maybe was not the first casting choice that the studio had. It feels a lot more like a John Hamm, but John Hamm turned it down, or John Hamm wasn't available kind of role. I thought that Bernthal did a good job, but again, I think if you had a performance like, a couple of years ago we had Allison Janney and I, Tonya, and she stole so many scenes in like that third position on the call sheet that it elevated the entire movie and made it so much more compelling. I think that in the best case version of Ford vs. Ferrari, where it goes on to like win an Oscar, there's somebody other than Jon Bernthal there just to elevate and steal more scenes. It's not that he wasn't doing a good job or that I don't like him or anything like that. It just feels like it was just sort of like a missed moment, and he could have maybe have done something different, and maybe Mangold didn't let him open it up a little bit. there's so many different options. It's hard to say from the outside, but for certain, I think that Lee Iacocca sort of being a miss in the overall construction of the film sort of hurt it in the end. What this movie did get honored for on Oscar Sunday was sound, and I want to second that because the sound in this movie is really well done. The editing is really well done. Just the whole thing was put together perfectly by craftsmen. The crew in this movie were all craftsmen. They did a wonderful job, and it's nice the things that can be done when you have a director with some vision and some budget in which to pull off visionary type of things, and putting it into a package like this where you get really incredible racing moves. And I think just the ease of being able to put smaller cameras inside of cars or like on the side of cars to give really incredible angles onto racing movies, especially like it almost doesn't even matter what the stakes of the race are, even though the stakes are high on this one. It's almost irrelevant because it feels like the intensity is there just in the way they shot it, and that's just a attaboy to the entire crew on that one. That being said, at the end, I'm not going to spoil it here, but like things don't go that well for Ken, even though he's always being stuck up for. And the way it all sort of plays at the end doesn't really give me the sense that Christian Bale was given the best opportunity to make the most of sort of the end of the movie for his character. I feel like there are times in movies where you really start to feel for the guy, and if it's done just right, it can sort of hit you personally too. And I felt like there was a chance for that kind of moment in this movie, but it just didn't materialize because there just wasn't enough there for which Christian Bale had to work with. So it's, again, one of those things, like, movies are so incredibly difficult to put together. If they make sense and they look good, you've already are a huge step ahead of pretty much everyone else who tries to do this. This one just had some slight misses, and it was the type of movie that is good and enjoyable, and under lesser years could have been more of a contender for a Best Picture, but it just was in a really competitive year, and this one in particular just didn't quite land the same way. I mean, it's a really compelling movie that didn't compel you to vote for it. Gentlemen, start your leaderboards. It's leaderboard time. Watched this movie at home, not streaming or anything like that, just watched it at home. So I'm going to skip the usual theater leaderboard here, just move right on to the regular movie leaderboard. This movie's, like, it's not going to crack the leaderboard over here, but I mean, it's a really fun, enjoyable movie, and the type of thing that I'm sure is going to be a lot of fun to watch at home with, like, a group of people. And obviously, like, it's not going to replace the experience of seeing this in, like, some sort of format where you can really hear or really feel the sound or, like, the excitement of the race and stuff like that. But with the way TVs are these days, like, most people have a really nice TV that they can watch this sort of thing on with a sound bar that does it justice, and it's fine. You'll be good. That being said, I give Ford vs. Ferrari a 7-9. Really great people, a really great effort, and a lot of really inspired work that just for whatever reason didn't quite match up the way that it was supposed to. And I think a lot was sort of riding on sort of a once-in-a-lifetime turn by certain actors that didn't happen, but you can't ever fucking predict that. So, but great job by everybody involved, and definitely worth seeing. Anyway, that's it for me. If you want more, you can go to my website, CoryBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoryBakerFilm, and at LegendCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. If you want to suggest something for me to see, I would gladly go see it. I just did a review for Birds of Prey, so check that one out. I don't know what the next movie I'm going to see is, but I will go see something, and I will tell you all about it. Anyway, until next time, thank you so much for watching. And if you don't mind, I have to go race around town.